All right, we are finally on the two-part finale of the new Doctor Who season, new Doctor Who series, really, because it's a completely different show than it used to be, with completely different characters. This guy might be called the Doctor, but he's definitely not the Doctor. The characterization is not the Doctor. It doesn't matter who's playing him at this juncture. It's the writing that's really the problem, which I'm going to get into in just a moment. Now, The Legend of Ruby Sunday actually is the least aggravating episode of Doctor Who this season. I think the whole unit thing of these, former companions running this like secret, sort of like MI6 on steroids, SHIELD. It's really SHIELD. They're copying Marvel, but I think it's kind of cringy. But that said, like I said, at least this one was kind of entertaining, and it did end in a to be continued, as a two-parter would, as you would expect with this. That's why they're using this and the next one next week in theaters together to try to bolster interest in the show. But let's get into what all this is about and why it really still didn't work, even though it's not painfully annoying like a lot of the other episodes. All right, my name's John Delarose. I'm a #1 best-selling science fiction author, and this is my Stars Entwined epic trilogy. If you like space opera, if you like fun stuff, check this out right here and go through the whole trilogy. I really build something nicely. That's what Russell T Davies is trying to do here, is build, pull information from other points in the stories and different episodes to try to make it seem like there's a coherent plot, but he kind of failed in that regard. So you can see how I do it right here, and if you want to support some great science fiction, I know Doctor Who fans are great readers. Really appreciate you guys. It's also available on audiobook. That link will be in the description below. And also, please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us here. You guys are awesome. And really appreciate all the support since we've been doing these reviews. Okay, so wrong window. Wrong bad sci-fi. So this one opens up, and, everything is in such a flurry in this. The Doctor shows up in this unit area. He's, noticing there's something going crazy. Even though there was, really no setup for this to begin with, you just get thrown right into the middle of it. And I guess they're trying to push that fast pace for Gen Z people who just have no attention spans. That's what Russell T Davies has said in his sort of deals. But because he pushed it so fast like that, there's really nothing to grab onto. There's nothing to care about. Even though he's showing a sense of urgency, you aren't really given, as the audience, a sense of urgency as to why the Doctor's so urgent. You just are like, this guy's like a panic attack walking, and that's what it looks like. And that ends up being a problem with the characterization throughout the entire show. Doctor Who, now, Gatwa is not taking charge of situations, not feeling confident in situations. He's some messed up white woman who's needs therapy is really what it comes down to. So it gets introduced. He shows up at unit. He meets the old companion here. Hello again. And then they also bring in the transgender Rose that they brought in from the 60th anniversary special. Why is he a part of this? Sorry. Don't know, but we are told once again by other characters in there, it's they know that they have to really rub it in. They go, "You're such a beautiful woman." And it's shut up. And that was the cringiest part of the episode. I mean, most of it actually, because it's so fast-paced, didn't delve into the weird identity politics that a lot of the other episodes did. And at least I had 39 minutes out of the 42 minutes clear of that stuff, because my gosh, that was annoying. Now, transgender Rose did nothing other than sit in the background and be there and be transgender. And that was the entire intention of the character there. If there was an editor on the show, you just cut that out, because you don't need a superfluous character like that for the plot that doesn't do anything. And that's what's happening here. They also introduce a black lady who looks like a lesbian, and some midget child who's a super genius. So you could tell this is it's a circus. And that's what diversity identity politics ends up being with the casting. It just looks like a circus. You got the bearded lady, you got the midget. Yeah, I mean, it's really funny. And so that's who's working at unit, instead of having an actual, adult military force that's important like that. That's who's there. Now, this is set up as a mystery, and they're tracking this lady at S Triad, Susan Triad. And they've alluded to multiple times over the season. They've dropped the name Susan. my granddaughter. He keeps saying to try to tie this back to the episode 1 of the William Hartnell era, because Susan was traveling with Hartnell. That's his granddaughter. And they never really like developed that after the show so much. I mean, they made a couple references to her, but they're trying to like use this like big mystery of her as the part of the Doctor here. Now, this S triad is an anagram, so when you turn the letters around, it spells TARDIS, and so they thought, oh, this must be Susan. So they've got somebody tracking her. The Doctor is going to go find her, find out what's going on. She's introducing this technology to the world that's going to change humanity, of course. And they don't really elaborate as to what that is. They get some anti-capitalist remarks in it. She mentions, all these billionaires, what do they do with the tech? They just take your money. Okay. And then it alludes to there's something off about her. Now, Gatwa goes and meets her at some point, and we'll get to that later, because there's another subplot where like Ruby Sunday is trying to go back and find out who she was and who her mother is. And why is that happening? Because they think that her mother might be Susan or something like that. They kind of allude to that too. And they have some weird like time travel like holodeck thing in Unit for some reason. Where I guess they developed this technology this entire time. There's transgender Rose standing there. Like I said, she doesn't really do anything. And they go into that little time travel holodeck, which I guess you're kind of back in the scene and back there for real, but kind of not. It's really, the rules of it are really not explained. And this goes back into Doctor Who really not being science fiction, like because science fiction really does try to explain things with the science a little bit and tries to actually have some consistent rules. And it kind of fails on this level and pulls you out of it, because Russell T Davies just has no rules except for whatever the plot demands during this season. And that's kind of something that's a failure here. Now, they've been building that up all season 2, and this comes to show that like just because you layer stuff in, like words like Susan, or talking about the granddaughter in prior episodes, or like trying to create this mystery of who's Ruby Sunday's actual mommy, it doesn't actually play out unless you give the audience a reason to care. You can't like just shove that in there. You have to make the audience care about those situations. Otherwise, you got a boring thing. And so this just progresses, and it is pretty boring. And they're just not likable people through this. So there's some entity that's surrounding the TARDIS back in the Ruby Sunday time that looks all dark that they see. They don't find out who the mother is. The whole window thing in time kind of breaks down. But they know there's some bad stuff going on, and some people die, of course. Now, as that happens, the other Susan plot hits, and of course, she's not actually Susan, because it's pretty obvious from the beginning. And it turns out that there's a second anagram, and this felt forced. Like the first one, the TARDIS thing, clever, I gotcha. But this one with the anagram, like it's spelled like harbinger. But you kind of have to like really stretch and remove some letters and turn some other things around. That it didn't work. And so that felt forced. And so he's like, oh, we got the wrong anagram. No. But it turns out she's like some evil entity god, and god of death from ancient Egypt or something like that. And this is where it goes off the rails again. It's not science fiction. It's just some weird fantasy crap. And this doesn't feel like Doctor Who at that point. It feels like random fantasy horror story, and that's it. And so she starts killing people. The black lesbian lady in the unit is a part of this thing too, and starts threatening and killing people in the unit area. And the TARDIS is surrounded by this dark energy that like looks like really bad CGI, like it's like something out of 2004. And the Doctor just like, and this is where it really breaks down. I mean, this plot line's like I said, it's not as painful as the rest of the plot lines of the series so far. But because there's no science explanation to things, because the Doctor doesn't really do anything to help anybody, it just falls flat. And you're just sitting there like, okay, to be continued. Don't even care. And you still, they're going to explain the mystery of Ruby maybe next episode. Who knows? And so I went and I actually watched a David Tennant episode of Doctor Who after this, the Lazarus Experiment. And this is the same thing. There's and this comparison really matters. So bear with me. There's a science experiment gone awry. The guy becomes some weird monster creature. It's going to kill everybody, right? But there's a lot of character moments, like between Martha and her family, and Martha and the doctor. Martha's sister's like maybe going to hook up with the guy, and you're like, please don't. And yet there's somebody warning that the doctor's actually the dangerous one. There's a lot of reasons to care about the characters. And you do end up caring about the characters. And during this whole thing, the doctor, while he's still zany and whatever, he comes up with plans. He takes charge. He makes sure to actually keep everybody safe in this. And he acts very masculine. He takes that role of the leader, the masculine leader of all of this. And Gatwa doesn't do that. And so that's what's been bugging me about Gatwa more than I would say the queerness that he just like goes, oh, lesbians, oh, I'm gonna make out with a man. I mean, that's all annoying too. But what really bugs me is the character's completely emasculated. He runs around and cries while all these women like take care of him, and it's just like that ruined the character of the Doctor more than anything. And when you compare the two episodes and when you see them back to back like this, it stands out so much. Now this ends like, of course, this was great. This was a fantastic, it was just a one-off Monster of the Week episode, not the big cliffhanger or whatever. But there were so many character moments in this, and it was so good. It really shows a stark contrast to exactly what they're doing now. And you know what? They always go, oh, well, you're just racist against the Black Doctor. No, Martha, like in her family, actually was pretty interesting in this. Quite the opposite. And so it's not that. It is the bad writing. It is the fact that they just failed on every level to make the Doctor a compelling character in this new series, and they failed on every level to make you interested in Ruby Sunday's background or interested in like the big mystery of like who's showing up here or these monsters that are showing up. It's just boring, and that's what it comes down to. Poor writing because they're being lazy and resting on their identity politics. They're resting on the fact that like the critics are not going to criticize this because we got a transgender in it and a black guy, so they better tread carefully or we're going to call them racist. And that's really all it comes down to right here. So this episode, while like I said, it didn't have all the annoying elements of like, almost every episode of the season, and so it was like at least watchable, it still failed on every single level. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out my science fiction. This trilogy is going to wow you. I really appreciate you for being there. This will be in the description below. We'll be back soon.